So this is the iPhone 11 Pro Max. I've had it in my pocket over the last year and a half or so, ever since I purchased the phone, and I've gotten to learn the ins and outs of the phone. In this video, I want to go over the tech specs, its features, how it's held up over the years, and whether or not I'd still recommend it to somebody in 2021. First, let's go over its tech specs and its features. The iPhone 11 Pro Max sports Apple's hexa-core A13 Bionic chip, which means that it is very quick. The model I have here has 256 gigabytes of storage, which is great because if I would have went for the 64 gigabyte, my storage capacity would have been used up many times over. Prior to this and all of my other phones, iPhone or Android, I've always gone with 64 gigabytes, and that's been enough for me. But with the iPhone 11 Pro Max's camera and the fact that I shoot a lot of videos in 4K, I knew that I'd fill up my storage very quickly, and I'm very glad that I went for the 256 gigabyte version. The phone has 4 gigabytes of RAM, which I know is a lot less than some of the Android competitors. However, coupled with iOS and Apple's amazing software design, you really don't see a difference. The phone at 6.63 ounces also weighs more than its predecessor, the iPhone X. However, that's something that I cherish and I actually enjoy in a phone, and I'll get to that a little bit later. Oftentimes, we're tricked into thinking that lighter and thinner is better when it comes to premium electronic devices, but I actually think the opposite. I like the fact that there's a heft in my hand when I hold it, that I know that it's in my pocket when it is in my pocket, and that it feels extremely sturdy and strong, and that it's not going to break at all. That's something that can't be said about some premium Android products. When this phone came out, not only did Apple introduce the frosted glass back for the phone, but it also introduced the new colorway Midnight Green. It was a huge hit, a huge success, and pre-orders were very hard to get. Even as an Apple employee, I was unable to secure myself a pre-order of the Midnight Green colorway and the exact specifications that I wanted. So instead, I had to settle for a space gray version. Of course, black still looks good. Black looks good on almost any phone, but if I had the opportunity to buy the phone again, I'd get it in Midnight Green. Now that we've gotten the tech specs and features out of the way, let's dive into the top 5 things you need to know if you're considering buying this phone in 2021. The phone has dropped in price quite a bit since it came out. You can even find it on eBay for a steal, or go to Apple Refurbished website and get something that is Apple backed, that comes with a warranty and the capability to add Apple Care to it, and still have a great phone to use. It's understandable why people want to know whether or not it's a good buy in 2021. First off, before getting into the list, I want to preface this by saying that I will be talking solely about the iPhone 11 Pro Max because it is the only iPhone in the lineup of 11s that I had experience with. I'm assuming though that a lot of the things I'll be talking about, both good and bad, will also apply to the standard iPhone 11 Pro. First, let's talk about battery. The iPhone 11 Pro Max came out with a 3,969 milliamp hour battery, and Apple boasted an expected battery life expectancy of 20 hours. Honestly, the battery life was the biggest reason why I got this phone. I had an iPhone XS prior to this, and the battery life is night and day between the two. I can easily get 2 full days of off and on again usage from the iPhone 11 Pro Max and still be at 20% at the end of the second day. Apple has allowed us to check out our own battery health of our phone's batteries for a couple of years now. You go into settings, into battery, and then into battery health, and you can see how healthy your battery is. My phone's battery after 1.5 years of usage is sitting at 85%. This means that whenever I plug my phone into charge, the phone's battery will only charge to 85% of the maximum 100% capacity that it once had when the phone's battery was brand new. If I'm honest, I have noticed a dip in the battery life, meaning that I have to plug the phone in a little bit more often and charge it for a little bit longer now. But honestly, it's not the end of the world. It really isn't that big of a deal. And to put this into context, although the battery life has dropped down to 85% of its 100% capacity, I still don't really worry about charging it at night. If I'm at a place where I don't have a charger or anywhere where charging is just not possible, I don't really worry about it. I just go to sleep, and in the morning I have 15% left, and honestly that 20 or 15% can last me like 6-7 hours, no problem. In terms of battery life and battery performance over the 1.5 years that I've owned this phone, I would definitely say that the iPhone 11 Pro Max and iPhone 11 Pro both pass in my opinion. Next, let's go into durability and build quality. Now, if you watch my long-term review of the iPhone leather case, which I'll include in the cards right here, then you'll know that I almost never, ever drop my phone. But also, if you watch that video, then you'll know that the last time that I dropped my phone, I wasn't wearing any sort of case or screen protector at all on it, which means that yes, my phone screen did crack. This was 100% my fault. The phone fell out of my lap while I was getting out of my car, face down onto asphalt from about waist height, very hard, no screen protector, no case like I said. Yeah, it cracked, but it was 100% my fault. But prior to this fatal fall, for almost a year, I had been rocking the phone with no screen protector, no case, and no problems. I had been dropped from various heights and various forces on hardwood flooring, carpeting, tiling inside, and even the sidewalk a couple times outside. Each and every time, it emerged unscathed. and even after the fall, it performs perfectly fine. There's no pixel loss in the cracked area, and the touch sensitivity of the area is still the same as it was when it was brand new. Now, to put this into context, a few months after the crack happened, I was riding a horse in Jamaica. Not just anywhere though, I was in the ocean, or at least where the beach meets the ocean in the salt water. The water was about up to the horse's stomach, so it was pretty deep at that point. I was recording on my phone and I fell off of said horse. And even though I was fully submerged in the salt water with my phone still recording for about 10 seconds, I couldn't even find my way up to the top, the phone still kept recording and didn't miss a beat at all. Now, after I got up out of the water and picked up my phone out of the water, the phone was still recording and responsive to my touch inputs. I thought my phone would have been bricked, not only because of the crack, but because I fell in salt water, not just regular water, but the phone was perfectly fine. In terms of build quality and durability, for the stainless steel sides, the frosted back glass, and even the front glass, I'd say that the iPhone 11 Pro Max and the iPhone 11 Pro both pass. Now moving on to point number 3, the camera and camera quality. Both the 11 Pro and 11 Pro Max have 4 cameras, all of which are 12 megapixels, and they vary in function and they vary in f-point. The lower the f-point, the better that individual camera will perform in low light settings, which means that some of these lenses will perform better than others. The biggest draw, however, for me specifically to the iPhone 11 Pro and Pro Max was definitely the introduction of the ultra-wide camera lens. I've been in many situations, whether it be a group photo situation or on a vacation trying to take a picture of a landscape or a beach, where the ultra-wide lens definitely came in handy. Especially for group photos, sometimes I was the only person there with a phone capable of taking a very high quality ultra-wide picture for the entire group. It's no secret that Apple puts some of the best cameras in their phones, especially when compared to some of the Android counterparts. And this is so obvious when you look at portrait mode. Portrait mode has only gotten better over the time that I've owned this phone. The phone knows exactly what I'm trying to take a picture of and blurs out everything that I don't want. It's like magic, as if it was reading my mind. Night shift is also mind-blowing. The amount of quality you can get in the lowest light of situations rivals cameras that are twice the price of this phone, like the Sony I'm filming on. Sure, Apple added the capability to shoot RAW photos for the iPhone 12 lineup. I'm extremely excited about that, but most people don't even know what a RAW photo is and probably never really use one or have a need to shoot in RAW. If you're trying to determine whether or not you need that capability, ask yourself this. For all of the photos you post on social media, when you edit them, do you edit them in an app on your phone, or do you edit them in something like Lightroom or Photoshop? Lightroom and Photoshop can really take advantage of RAW photos, and if you use that, then great, go ahead and go for the iPhone 12. But for most people, if you're shooting in RAW, you're probably going to be shooting in RAW on a DSLR or a mirrorless camera like this Sony to get an even better image than the iPhone 12 can give you. So for most people, I'd say that the 11 Pro is perfectly adequate regardless of not having the RAW photo capability. In general, anybody who relies on RAW photos for anything they're doing, most often work, would use something like a DSLR or a mirrorless camera like what I'm using to get a slightly better or sometimes much better photo than an iPhone 12 can give you. So in terms of camera quality for the 11 Pro and 11 Pro Max, I have to give Apple an excellent score, not just passing, because honestly, the Photos app and the Cameras app have only gotten better ever since I got this phone, and usually things are supposed to go downhill and get worse over time after you buy something, especially something like a phone. Now moving on to point number 4, software and its speed. Now a few years ago, there were rumors and even a lawsuit against Apple over them slowing down their older iPhones with every new iOS update. Now, Apple came out and said, yeah, this is true, but it's only to preserve the longevity of your phones and the quality of your hardware in those phones over time. Now, I completely agree with this. I understand where Apple's coming from, and I understand why they had to do it. Sure, they could have been a little bit more transparent about it, but I still understand why it had to be done at the end of the day. Humor me this. Imagine owning an iPhone 4 that was running the latest iOS 14 update. That phone would probably only last a day at the most, and let's say that it lasted a couple months, it would eventually crap the bed because the battery and the processor would be way too overworked. It would feel like lava in your hands, it would heat up so much, and the processor would probably fail because of all that heat. So in order to prevent that from happening, they had to limit the advances with each iOS update that each older phone got. I completely understand where they're coming from, but regardless of which side of the debate you're on, here is my take on my phone's software performance over the last year and a half. I have actually noticed some minor glitchiness in the phone. Usually while locking or unlocking the phone, or when I leave one app, go to the home screen and transition into another app. The phone screen will blur, like I had swiped down to do a spotlight search even though I hadn't. In this scenario, I'm unable to tap the screen, all of my touch inputs do not register, and the only way out of this is to lock the phone and unlock the phone. Usually this does work, however sometimes it doesn't, in which case I have to do a hard reset. Hard resets last about 15 seconds, 12 to 15 seconds, and it almost always solves the problem. Nowadays, I have to factory reset my phone about once or twice a week. It is an inconvenience, and it saddens me that this happens so often. Something like a hard reset should only be done once every 6 months or a year whenever you have a serious problem with your phone. And I feel like I shouldn't be having to do it as often as I am. Who knows if this is Apple intentionally slowing down my phone with every new iOS update, or if it's just because I rarely ever turn off my phone. You're supposed to turn off your phone often because they need rest just like we do, but I don't, and I always forget. Not sure why, but I never turn it off, and I wouldn't be surprised if the phone hasn't been off for about a month. Overall, I'd give Apple and the iPhone 11 Pro and 11 Pro Max a satisfactory score for the software design. Honestly, the hard resets aren't that big of a problem. They don't take too much time to do. However, I do feel like they shouldn't be happening as often as they need to on such an expensive device. Moving on to point number 5, design. Now, I personally feel that Apple has gotten lazy with their design language and design direction over the last few years. The iPhone really hasn't changed much since the iPhone 10, and I was expecting a very big refresh for the iPhone 12. It saddens me to say that for the first time in a very long time, I didn't like a new design that Apple came out with on one of their devices. I recently had the opportunity to stop by my local Apple store, and I had some hands-on time with the new iPhone 12s and iPhone 12 Pros. The iPhone 12 Pro really does feel like a knockout version of the iPhone 5 with its square edges. It's extremely light and flimsy feeling in my personal opinion, and my 11 Pro Max feels a lot more sturdy and luxurious in the hand. Of course, design is subjective, so feel free to agree with me or disagree with me. No hard feelings. Now, speaking specifically about the 11 Pro, because this is a review of the 11 Pro and Pro Max, I absolutely love that design. Honestly, the curved stainless steel edges are in perfect condition, just like new. They feel very luxurious in your hand. The textured back glass feels amazing in the hand, and it also gives a great contrast visually to the front of the phone where it has that glossy black screen panel. If we were talking about the iPhone 12 and 12 Pro lineup, I would say that Apple failed, and they actually took a step backwards in my own opinion. However, for the 11 Pros and 11 Pro Maxes, I would definitely say that Apple passed in the design category. And that's pretty much it, guys. Overall, I absolutely love and adore this phone. It's beautiful, sexy, luxurious, and it's never really let me down. Given the opportunity today in 2021 with the current iPhone lineup, I would still purchase the 11 Pro or 11 Pro Max again over the new 12s or 12 Pros. Sure, the software problem is a pain point, but it's not the end of the world in my opinion. But overall, take my words with a grain of salt. Remember, this is just one person's opinion and experience with one individual model of an iPhone 11 Pro Max. Also, keep in mind that this phone is cracked severely and definitely has some sort of saltwater damage. And who knows, those software problems I mentioned earlier could be a direct result of that saltwater damage. Either way, stay tuned because I'm going to be replacing this phone pretty soon with, you guessed it, another iPhone 11 Pro Max. Yes, I have Apple Care on this phone, and I'd be stupid if I didn't. It's way too expensive not to carry any sort of coverage on it. I'm going to use the Apple Care program that ships a new phone to you directly to your house, rather than going to the Apple Store. I feel like it's a little bit quicker. I don't really want to deal with lines in public right now, and it'll also show you the experience of having Apple Care shipped to you, for anybody who can't make it to an Apple Store right now. Lastly, I also have to mention this. If all you want is an iPhone, and that's all you've ever known, and that's all you can ever see yourself owning, then yeah, this is a great buy right now in 2021. However, if you're open to choices in different manufacturers, Google, Samsung, and other Android phone manufacturers have really been putting their best foot forward. There are a lot of great options in this price point, and I urge you to check it out. Let me know down in the comments if you'd like me to compare this phone or any other iPhone with any other Android competitor. Thanks for stopping by. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram at abes_pics, where I'm active pretty frequently. Like this video if you liked it. Every single like allows this video to get in front of more people just like you. Comment on the video if you'd like to. I love to interact with the community and my subscribers. And finally, subscribe to the channel if you like my content for more awesome content coming out almost every single day. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.